Welcome back, everyone, to the Built for Anything podcast. I'm your host, Hertz, and I got a really good podcast lined up for you guys today. We're going to be talking about a subject that I get asked about all the time, and that's entrepreneurship. It's a very, very important topic because I think there's many of us out there who should be doing really all of us should be doing things every single day that fulfill us, especially your 9 to 5. And in this podcast, I'm going to have a special guest, a friend of the show. His name is Jonathan Vasquez. And we're going to be talking about how you could turn your 9 to 5 into your side hustle. All right. And focus on your passion. Now, Jonathan Vasquez, a really good friend of mine. He is a photographer, videographer, overall hustler. Okay. Content creator. And so I really hope you guys enjoy this podcast. If you do, please leave comments on iTunes. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, really anywhere that broadcast podcasts, you should be able to find the Built for Anything podcast. Also, starting now, you'll be able to see these podcasts also on my YouTube channel, which is Built for Anything. So, guys, without further ado, enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody. I got my guest right here, man. A friend of the show, Jonathan Blake Vasquez, man. What's going on, brother?
Man, what's going on, man? It's good to be here as always. I drank my water. I did my meditation this morning. So, I'm feeling real blessed and feeling great taking on the day. You know what I mean? Being real productive.
That's what's up, man. Yo, if you're noticing out there why I got on this Lakers uniform, it's a great day in sports, man. Anybody who's known me knows that I've been a Lakers fan for the longest. There was some news just yesterday of LeBron James signing with the Los Angeles Lakers for 4 years, $154.
Oh, man.
Now, see, here's the thing, right? If you also know me, you know that I don't like LeBron James.
Yeah.
And I was faced with a tough decision, man. And the reality is this, right? A good friend of mine gave me this analogy the other day. He said, It's like that dude you've been beefing with who all of a sudden you find out that he's part of your family.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, man, I'm going to support the team, man. Kobe's on board. I trust Magic Johnson. So this is just my show of support, man. We back on top. That's what I like to see. So I'm excited about that, man. So
you're making official that you're not part of the bandwagon.
No, yeah, exactly. I'm not part of the bandwagon. I need people to understand that I've been here since day one.
That's good.
So no bandwagon. I didn't become a fan on July 1st. Okay, because I know there's a lot of people on there who they have no shame about it.
Right.
And
they
saying,
definitely.
If he's over there, we're coming too. So there's a whole new line of people who's on the wagon. I just need them to know who has seniority.
They're hilarious too. Like, I've been on Twitter recently, and somebody said, "Suddenly, I just became a Lakers fan." I'm
you
like,
see this, right?
And
you
I'm
see
like,
what's going on? So
I'm like, wow.
It's crazy.
They're
right
proud
now.
of it. They're proud of it, man.
Exactly, man. I'm excited, man. I'm excited, but
I wish I was as excited as you, because I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. So, we getting up there. We struggling, you know what I'm saying? But we getting up there. We're gonna be all right.
The Mavs is doing some things. They doing some things.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm glad to have you on, man. I asked you to come on here. This podcast specifically is how do you turn your 9 to 5 into your side hustle?
Oh,
right?
Man. Yeah.
And I know you as an entrepreneur. I know I've made moves into the entrepreneurship as well, and I've had a lot of people close to me reach out to me to talk about it. And I know it's a similar journey that you're on as well. And I wanted you to come on the podcast just to really talk about your journey, man. And then also for us to really try to help those out there who are scared to make that jump. And I'm sure you realize it too, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who they want to do other things, man. They wake up every morning. They hate their job. But it's like they just kind of sleepwalk through it. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm glad that you've, been making some good strides towards your goals, and I'm glad to have you on here to talk about it, man.
Absolutely, man.
So tell the people, man, what are some of the things that you're into?
Well, but I'm in a lot of things. Let's just say that. I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But my main niche is probably photography. I do photography, whether it's commercial, you do real estate, you got your family pictures, senior pictures, things like that. And then, my main thing is fashion photography. Is what I happen to get into. Especially like, these days everybody wants to look like somebody, you know what I mean? So I'm there to bring that vision alive. And that's, especially when it comes to women, I work great with, it just, and I have fun with it. You know what I mean? Just be around beautiful women, take pictures. Cool. That's awesome. I also do videography as well. I do a little bit of video, because if you are if you have a camera, you're going to need to know a little bit of video, especially nowadays. If you go on social media, there's not just images, there's also video clips and stuff like that. And it's just, the game is transitioning to video so much that you kind of had to know the basics of it. And I want to know not just the basics, but also kind of be, just a little bit advanced in that category. So that's what I'm have my hands in currently, and that's what's making me money currently. But I also have a podcast as well, Truth Hurts Podcast. I also do a little things with like skits, like comedy skits on YouTube with my friend 23 Cups, musician, entertainer, that guy. So, but I also keep it real, got to keep it real from the jump at all times. And that's why I have Truth Hurts, talk about the real topics. That's why I have these comedy skits, even though they're comedy, but they're also informative. I keep the vegan thing going and stuff like that. So I just always keep it real life.
So just recently you decided to like really take your craft, I want to say, more seriously and really see how you can monetize those things, whether it's through photography. Talk about what was it that made you decide, like, you know what, I think I'm gonna take this seriously, as opposed to it just being the side thing.
Right. Well, really a lot of people around me started taking their business serious before I even started. You know what I mean? They motivated me to really focus on what I should do in life. Because I seen a lot of my friends, they all have like something that they're doing before I even started anything. Before I even got to podcasting, photography, anything. I had friends that were already doing all that stuff. I had a friend that was already in videography, had another friend that was a musician, had another friend that owns a moving company. So all these things people already, have their hands in, and I'm not the type a guy to just kind of just stand around and just watch and help them out. You know what I mean? I want to be my own boss as well. So I just really started doing life, reflecting my life. And I was living with my sister at the time, and I was just thinking, I'm like, man, what should I do? You know what I mean? What should I do? And I knew I didn't want to work a 9-to-5. I knew that like for a fact, because I just see my parents, they work for, corporate America, and they don't look like they're having the best time of their lives. I'm not going to dog them or anything like that, because, I love them to death, but they just don't look like they're having the time of their lives. And I think you live this life one time. Let's make it, every year needs to be great. Every year needs to feel like a vacation. Every year doesn't need to feel like, it's kind of, because you start to go, now, like, if you see people, if you just look at people going through the 9-to-5, they look like they're just going through the motions. You know what I'm saying? They don't even look alive. They're like zombies. So I didn't want to be a zombie, and I don't even think like that. That's just not my thing. You know what I mean? So it started from the podcasting. I created that by myself. At first it was just me, and it went from there. And then I started getting into photography, because I knew podcasting wasn't going to make me money right away. So I watched this YouTuber, I don't know, I forgot what his name was, but I was watching YouTube, and he said, do something that you're good at and do something that you love doing. So podcasting was really something that I wanted to do, but I knew it wasn't going to make me income right away. So I knew I was good at photography, because I had done it here and there. It wasn't like something I took serious. So I just started taking that serious and just went from there.
It's interesting you say that, right? You were around a couple of other artists or content creators, and you watched them, and that motivated you, and I'm sure you were able to take some things from each person, some talents, some skills that you could learn, that you could apply and make it your own. And that's part of the thing, right? I had this conversation with a friend the other day, and because I've gotten a lot of people that reached out to me because they know me from the corporate world, right? And I've been doing that for a long time, and so to see me do other things, they're curious as to like, well, how can I take the jump and start doing other things, because they realize their own frustrations with their current roles, and that they feel like they only had to accept it because they felt like, hey, that's what's bringing in the money at the moment, right?
But that's good though, because my bad, I didn't mean to interrupt, because like you're leading by example. You know what I mean? I never was really into the corporate America where like I just never gave it a chance because I knew that's not what I wanted. But you actually went through that and stuff like that, and so people are more to follow you because they see you going. You've been there where they're at. You know what I mean? And now they see you transitioning. They feel like it's possible now. They could become entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and for those of you out there who are not aware, I was a financial advisor for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is a vice president role, wearing suits every day, handling other people's monies. Like it was one of those jobs.
That's a serious job right there.
Very, very serious job, right? But throughout the process, man, I just, it got to a point where it was like, is this it? You know what I mean? Is this what I'm supposed to be aspiring to? Because it happened for me kind of quickly. I went straight from, high school to college to straight to this job, and really didn't know if that was what I want to do, but I just happened to grow within the job, like most people, right? You get a job, then all of a sudden they promote you to this, they promote you to that, and before you blink, you've been there for 20 years, and you had no idea that this was something you wanted to do long term initially. So that was kind of like my situation. And then when I finally had a chance to really sit down and think and realize that, I put in my time. At what point am I going to dedicate my time towards the things that I want to do?
Exactly.
And so
exactly.
People reaching out to me, asking me like, what makes you make that jump? And what I tell them is this, right? And this was my point of the story is, I don't tell everybody, that they should be entrepreneurs or anything like that. I honestly, on a one-on-one, I would tell a good friend like, hey, why don't you try to do your own thing? But I realize that it's not for everybody, right?
Right.
But the one question that I do ask every person that would talk to me and ask me questions is, first things first, do you like what you're doing? It's that simple, right? Because I don't care if you're a firefighter. I don't care if whatever it is that you're doing. The bottom line is this, right? Do you really enjoy it, right? Forget the money. Put the money aside. Do you enjoy doing what you're doing? If the answer is yes, we have nothing to talk about. Right. If the answer is no, the simple question is, okay, well, why don't you try to find out what is it that you want to do? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever tried to see what other skills you may have that if you were to dedicate more time to it, it could be more beneficial for you? Because I always say to them that if you can do something you don't like every day and get some sort of success, some sort of monetary value from it, imagine what you could do when you're doing something that you actually want to do. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly, man.
So for me, my success in the corporate world was like, I'm being successful, but I'm not, I don't really want to do it. And then, so it made me think like, okay, what about the things that I do want to do? Imagine if I would have applied the effort towards those things, then I could live with that. You see what I'm saying? The success can come from that. And so,
exactly,
because you got to enjoy what it is that you're doing. So I always ask that first, do you enjoy what it is that you're doing? Right. So for you, right, before you started taking things seriously with, the photography, the videography, and the overall content creation, what was some of the jobs that you were doing 9 to 5? What are some of those things like?
I worked at a call center for like a year or some change, and that was like mostly like sales. I would have to convince business owners, like small business owners, to switch credit card services. That was one of my things. So I would call and I would be like, hey, this is Daniel Weisenberg, because I always talk in a country accent. So they won't, I feel like, I'm not going to say like, I just felt like a country accent, and it sounds like I'm a white male. I feel like people feel more comfortable, and feel like, I don't know, I just did it. And I have fun doing it. Don't get me wrong. I was a clown. If anybody knows me, they know that, I'm a jokester. So I go, Hi, this is Daniel Weisenberger. How you doing, sir? Just looking to speak to the business owner over there, and so on and so on. I'm not gonna do the whole script, but yeah, that's a job that I did. And then recently I worked for a bar as a bar back at a restaurant, and that, I mean, it's cool, but the thing is, it doesn't align to what I believe in. You know what I'm saying? I want to be around positivity. I want to be around, good people. And when you're around people that are just always drunk and just, not aligned with my spirit, I guess you could say, it kind of like, it's a bad environment to be in. That's what I have to say about that. And just it kind of takes a toll on you. You know what I mean? And you just kind of want to get out of it. And I know what kind of person I am, so I'm aware of what I want to be around. And that's something that I didn't want to be around. And I don't even want to work for anybody, first of all. That's one thing. I don't want to work for nobody.
What do you think is the reason why people are scared to take the next step, to take the jump if they're in a position where they're not really happy? Like, what do you think is...
I'm glad you asked that question. Well, I think people, just security. Security is the big reason. Like I talked to my mom, me and her always get in debates, and my stepdad. They talk about, well, I'm saving for a 401k and I got this Social Security, whatever it is, like all this, stuff that they've been working towards for years since they've been working for their job. And I'm thinking, like, that's what's holding you there. That's what's holding you there. This is a matrix, is what I like to call it. And I always watch this guy. His name is Herbalist Kareem. He's on YouTube, and he motivates me because I like him because he's like genuine guy. You could tell he's like really cares for the people, and he talks about matrix and stuff like that. Like, you're in the matrix. Like, you're too worried about all this other things. You're not even focused on what you want to do. You know what I mean? Because those things don't even matter, because those things, it's just, you can make that with doing what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You could even have more than that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And people just want to feel secure. They have the security of a set schedule. They have the security of a set paycheck. They know when their paycheck is coming in, and they have all these little funds that they're saving up, like 401ks and stuff like that. And so I'm like, but do you own part of the company? Do you have any stocks invested? Do you have, you know what I mean? That's the question that you need to ask yourself if you're, not wanting to do that jump. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you should really do your research on other people that are entrepreneurs, and also change the people that you hang around with, because literally all my friends, they work for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that. I'm like, I think I'm the last one that doesn't work for themselves, and I finally had to make that jump, because I'm like, man, everybody else is doing it, and I've been making these strides of doing it. I just haven't took that leap, and I just took that leap finally. And
there's definitely a fear and a societal pressure to do what everyone else is doing. And I think, honestly, people are scared to really bet on themselves, because that's really what you're doing.
Definitely.
When you're at a job and someone's telling you when to go to the bathroom, when to go on vacation, there's no control. You literally just walk through the door, direct deposit comes in it. Like, you literally, there's nothing for you to really think about, right? But then when if you try to become your own boss or do your own thing,
you got to think.
You have to think. Right.
And that's what's crazy. Like, people have to change their whole mindset becoming an entrepreneur. Even I catch myself having that mindset. Like, sometimes I might just chill. I'm like, no, I can't just be chilling. I gotta get up and actually think of things that I need to work on, that I could, somehow work on to further my business. Because when, like, exactly what you just said, you're not thinking about what to do next, because everything's already right there for you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, do this. You already got your to-do list. But as an entrepreneur, you got to create your to-do list. You know what I mean? You got to create those things that you have to do in order for your business to become successful. So, and that's what's crazy. A lot of people struggle with that, because as we were little, we were trained to be workers. You know what I mean? We weren't trying. I mean, some people had parents that were able to teach them those ways. But, you know, my parents were corporate America. All I knew was to go to college and then work for the man. And you know what I mean? And what? You know,
I tell you know, I tell a lot of people, man, the corporate environment isn't for everyone. And not just the corporate environment, really just any 9 to 5, you know, for those reasons is that, you know, there's a quote, right? Like, if you don't set goals for yourself, you're going to work for somebody who does, you know, who does have goals. Right. And so it's really one or the other, right? You're chasing after what it is that you want to do, or you're helping somebody else do what they want to do. Right. And I think people don't understand that, you know, the head of your company or whatever had to take those risks. Yeah. And again, this is if you feel stuck, right? Because it's like, if you feel stuck, you know, what do? You got to really find out, you know, everybody has, my opinion, right? Everybody has gifts. Everybody has something that they're good at, but could be even better at if they were to take the time to develop those gifts.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's like practice or whatever. Like you gotta find it, right? And I feel like people don't want to find it because it's a lot easier to just, again, punch in the clock. But then when you deal with a lot of the frustration, it's like, it's on you. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't be mad at anybody. Like, a lot of times people like to act like they don't have a choice. You do. We all have a choice. Even if we choose to continue, even by not making a decision, you've made a decision.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's not what you're going to do. So, you know, what do you think is some of the things that people should do or could do to really turn things around, or really start making that side hustle or whatever it is, like really start developing those skills? What are some of the things that you've done to really develop those skills?
Well, I just practice on my, when I found out what I wanted to do, I had to really like do some reflecting, first of all. And then when I found out what I wanted to do, I just really did a lot of research and then practice my craft. And I do that every day. Even when I don't feel like doing it, I still do it. You know what I mean? Like, take pictures. Like, that stuff, it's cool after, like, it's when you do it all the time, sometimes you just want to put the camera down, but no, you got to take it with you. Take it with you anywhere you go and take a picture, because eventually when you get back to the post-production, you're going to get inspired, inspiration. You know, anything can come out of nowhere. So I noticed that when I do take pictures, I'm not really feeling it at the time, but then I come back and I'm like, oh, I could do something with this. But like that, like, you know, just taking steps is practicing your craft. What else? Think of things that you can do to market your business. Think of creative things to do to market your business. You know, I'm still learning. I'm still in this journey. So there's a lot of steps that I need to take before I can really give my full advice to people. So that's something that helps motivate me.
Well, I like the process that you're in, because it's one thing, you know, when somebody has already kind of got to that point, it's another thing to see the journey, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think in sharing the journey and sharing the ups, the downs, right, that could help somebody else either, you know, avoid some of the mistakes that you've made, but also can help them feel motivated to know that, listen, if you are in the same position, you could work towards the things that you want to do, right? Because I think that there's such a huge disconnect with people when it comes to what is it that you really want to do. Like, when you, like, seriously, like, if you really ask somebody a question like, so what do you want to do? Most people don't have an answer.
They don't. I asked this one girl on Instagram, and she's like really cute and everything. You know, I think I was just talking, just making, you know, conversation. And I asked her, because that's like one of the first things I asked, you know, what do you want to do? What's your goals? And she just couldn't answer it. I'm like, she's like, just live my best life. And I'm like,
like, what the hell is that?
I mean, I feel you. I feel you. I want to live my best life, but how are you going to do that? Is really what I want to know. She's like, well, I'm not good at anything. I'm like, have you tried to find out what have you tried to, because you really got to search for it. You know what I mean? It's like people expect it just to let it come naturally. Like, no, you got to search for it. Some people have natural talents. Yes, we know that, but they were willing to just do something. You know what I mean? If you're not just doing anything, you're just living life. Of course, you don't know what you don't know what you're good at, because you're not trying anything. You know what I mean? And you really got to search for it. You know, you gotta see who you are. You gotta know who you are. And I think now that I'm continuing my journey, like, I think a lot of like spiritual, you know, has to do with business as well. You know, what aligns with your spirit. You know, everything that I do, it describes me. You know what I'm saying? It's all about me, and I like it.
Nah, that's what's up. So I had a conversation with a friend the other day, right?
Yeah.
And I was giving him an example in saying that, you know, you got to see how you could turn your 9 to 5 into your side hustle, right? The reason why I bring up this phrase is because the way he kind of described it to me is like, well, I got this 9 to 5, I got to keep that, and then maybe I'll find something else to do on the side, and then I equated it to him. I said, well, it's kind of like having a side chick, right? You have your main chick, and you got your side chick.
Oh yeah.
You don't leave your main chick for your side chick, right?
Never.
So I told him, I said, you kind of set yourself up to fail, right? Because what you're basically telling me is that I have to give my job 90%, and I'm gonna give this side thing 10%. Well, what do you expect to come from this 10%? You know, do you really expect it to be? So I think once you change your mentality into, okay, which one has priority, right? Then you can start to find ways to make sure it's done. So for example, if your priority is the photography, but you have a job, you know, doing something else, right? Then you will prioritize that. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I get some work in on weekends. I'm gonna make sure, you know, I'm able to do some shots around your schedule. Like, what you're doing is you're making sure that you prioritize it, as opposed to saying, well, you know, I guess I'll do it once a week, you know, or just not at all, or give up on it at all. You know, there has to be a shift mentally to where it's how you view it. Right?
Exactly.
It's how you view it. It's who's more important.
It's definitely mental. It's all about your mentality, you know, and you got to believe in yourself. You know, even though you're not going to see results right away, you definitely got to believe in yourself. And I noticed that, you know, I'm prepared for the organic, non-GMO, you know, growing of this plant right here. You know what I mean? And like, I might not see results in another 3-4 years. I might not see a real check till then, but you know what? I'm along with the ride. You know, as long as I know that I'm putting in work every day and doing what I have to do, I'm okay. I'm satisfied. You know what I mean? And as long as I can be able to, I guess, pay my little rent, I'm satisfied. You know what I mean? I'm not like people, they just want success. You know what I mean? They just want big checks. They want this and that, but that's not realistic. You know, as an entrepreneur, you got to think about it. You know, you're going to take these losses, especially when you're investing your own money, because you have to invest your own money into your business. There's no go, you know, around that. I mean, unless you're trying to get investors, but then you really don't believe in your business like you should. You know, if you're investing your own money, then you're really believing in this. You know what I mean? You're really going to take this serious. So once you start investing your own money, you know that, you know, this is something that has got to you got to make this happen.
Yeah, it's a mentality thing, and you know, it's a good strategy to say, okay, you have the 9 to 5 or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with this where you're saying you're going to use those resources to fund what it is that you want to do until it's time for you to switch over.
That's all the 9 to 5 should be, really.
That's what it should be, and that's what I'm saying. Most people they instead they choose to prioritize the 9 to 5 and have nothing else going on, and then complain about it, and then wonder, you know, what else can they do, right? You gotta put yourself in the right position to do it. But sometimes, you know, either way you cut it, you're taking a risk, and you have to be willing to take the risk, knowing that you might not have immediate success. Right. But that shouldn't deter you per se to saying, you know what, I'm not gonna, because people like assurances, right? We're people, we like assurance, we like guarantees, right? I sold investments, right? So I basically was selling risk all day. And one thing is that my job was to minimize risk. And the thing is that people prefer guarantees, right? They would love me to say, I'll guarantee you this percentage of money on your money, as opposed to me saying, well, there's a risk that you could lose X, Y, Z, right? But here's how we mitigate that. People don't want to hear that for the most part, right? They want they prefer the guarantees. It's just like life, right? They prefer the quick fix, the guarantee. They don't want the thing that, what do you mean it takes time? What do you mean in 2 years? What do you mean in 3 years? What do you mean 5 years? Because they see people who are already at where they at, and they don't realize how much effort and how much time they put into it. They just see the end result, and they figure like, I need to jump straight to the end result. I don't need to like this other thing, like first sign of failure, that's it. They abandon ship. You see what I'm saying? Right. So, it's a mentality thing. How do the people around you, aside from those that are doing similar things to you, but talk to me about the people around you who just probably don't get it.
Right. I don't really like being around them. I'm gonna be real. It's because they kind of discourage me at times, especially like the people that are close to you. They just don't get it, like family, and it's like arguing with the damn wall. Like I'm not getting, like they are set in their ways, and I'm like no. Especially as a vegan as well, I get this argument all the time. All this debating and then when you bring entrepreneur, that's another topic to debate about. And I try to convince them. I'm like, look, you are in a matrix. You are literally being controlled right now. It's just over the head.
Dude, I've had
over the head.
Having those conversations, especially in the beginning, man.
It's draining.
Especially in the beginning, it really is draining. It's I understand where it comes from, again, because it's like,
it's not their fault.
It's like most people, again, they fall into that lifestyle, and that's all they know. They, it's if you're not a doctor, you're a lawyer. If you're not doing that, you're working for the city. Like every single job is just what has security. It's like everybody's chasing that security. I need security. I need security. I need security. And again, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable and having a sense of security.
Right.
But also, what about creating something that can support you in the long run? That you can also enjoy. While you're getting this security, right? Because, money can come from different ways. And I think that's what people don't understand. Like, again, when I was having a conversation with my friend, I'm like, dude, there's different ways to make money. It's not just one way.
So many ways.
Like, why are we acting like if it's not coming
especially
from,
now that with the internet.
Right. And it's like, people act like, if it's not coming from a 9 to 5, like it's just where else are people getting this money? It's like, dude, there's so many different ways to make money. But again, it's always going to go back to, what are you most passionate about? What is it that you can do? And so that way, when the money comes, it doesn't change you. Because what happens is if you start doing something just for money, what happens when you get the certain amount of money that you aim for, right? So if you came into the game saying to yourself, I just want to make 100,000, or if I could just reach 6 figures. What happens once you reach 6 figures and you realize you're unhappy? You see what I'm saying? You got more people around you with their hand out, or you're spending more. It's like, once you get to that point, it's like, this is it. And then you start saying, you know what? Well, maybe I need 150, or maybe I need 200. And then, maybe I need 300 or whatever. And it's like, you're constantly chasing. And you're basically just going in circles. When in reality, right? In some cases, I should say, if you're doing the thing that you enjoy the most, the money's going to come. It's going to come. You see what I'm saying?
And it comes out of nowhere half the time too. Trust me, I know.
It could come from places that you least expect. Opportunities start to open up once you really put it out there in the universe. This is what it is that I'm going to do. All of a sudden you start realizing, the phone calls start coming through, the emails start coming through, the DMs start coming through, and you're like, wow, I wouldn't have had this opportunity had I not really zeroed in on what it is that I want to do. And so I just think the universe is funny like that. Like, if you start taking things seriously, it will put things in front of you to kind of, it's like everything starts coming your way. But if you're trying to cheat it, if you just trying to be slick, you're trying to dip in and out, or you just like, I'm trying to get a quick fix or a quick dollar, it's unforgiving. You know what I mean? You don't treat it right, it's not going to treat you right. You know what I mean? In the long run, you know, you get a taste of it and it's going like that, and you don't know how to get it back. And so, you know, I always try to tell people, again, it always starts with what is it that you want to do, what excites you, what gets you up in the morning, what is it that, you know, you're doing it and you're not even realizing how long time has passed, right? Because we're entrepreneurs, man. It ain't 8 hours a day. I don't know any, like,
oh no, it's like all day.
8 hours a day, like where? You know what I mean? Like anybody who's, if you run your own business, you even intend on doing anything for yourself, number one thing is understand, you know, it might be 12, 13 hours, you know, it might be 16 hours, you know, a day, you know, whatever. Exactly. Like you, but if you're doing the right thing, it doesn't feel the same way. I think when people hear 16 hours, they think about their current job and they're like, man, I don't want 16. You know, I'm stressed out doing 9. I can't do 16. But if you're doing 16, you know, doing, you know, photography or video editing or traveling, or, you know, you're doing something you're passionate about, days could go by before you realize, like, damn, I haven't called my friends, or I haven't even really, because you just focused and you just on that grind. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. And like there's something, and I notice people don't really understand that, because the first thing they look for, right, is a vacation day. First thing they look for is a day off. And so when they have a day off and you're like, yo, I'm still working. Like I had somebody tell me, what you doing 4th of July? Like, I'm just grinding. Like what am I supposed to do on 4th of July? Sit around and do nothing? Like, what does that mean? Like, I'm going to still be doing what I'm doing. Like,
what you mean?
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm supposed to stop. So I think, you know, holidays come around, people just, you can't do that. You can't do that when you're trying to like really go after something that you want. You can't be like, it's a holiday and I gotta just, you know, you can't be on other people's schedule with that 9 to 5.
No,
because that schedule is not gonna get you where you want. Yeah,
no off switch. If you're really taking it serious, you gotta really stay focused at all times.
So what motivates you though? You know, to kind of keep going, because obviously there's always gonna be ups and downs. There's always gonna be something, right? Money's dry this month, or you know, nobody hit you up this month or this week or whatever. And it's always at that low point where it's like you start looking over your shoulder like, shit, maybe I need to go, you know, apply for that, whatever. Like, you know, that's when, you know, that things start talking to you. How do you stay on track? Like, what are some of the things that you do?
Well, it's crazy. When I start thinking like that, I start doubting myself or anything, there's always like little signs like I start seeing, like that would tell me basically get back to this, because it's crazy. Because like one time I was down on myself and I was at my side job, and this girl's like comes up to me. She follows me on Instagram and things like that. That's where I post a lot of my work. And she goes up to me. She's like, "Why are you still here?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? You know, what do you mean? Why am I still here?" She's like, "Shouldn't you just be making money off photography? Like, you're too good for that. Like, you're too good for over here." And I was like, "Damn!" Like that made me realize, like, wow, I appreciated that. You know, shout out to her.
You know, for me, I would tell you, whenever I kind of get to a moment where I'm like, damn, did I make the right move, or should I be, you know, doing something else or whatever it is. Ironically enough, usually in those moments, I'll get a sign, like I'll get a phone call, I'll get a message, you know, saying, you know, hey man, you know, I love this video you did, or I like this photo or whatever, or I like this, or, you know, I love what you're doing, or something like that. And, you know, it helps, but it definitely comes from inside. And I think the biggest thing for me is I want to be one of the first people in my family, or establishing my legacy, to say I've established something that nobody else in my family has done. You see what I'm saying? To me, that's a bigger deal, you know. So I'm changing the course to where, instead of me doing what everybody else is doing, you know, I went my own way, did my own thing. And if I have, you know, it's about carrying on your legacy. And, you know, because I'm the only son.
That definitely motivates me too.
You know what I'm saying?
Same thing.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what else do you have, right?
Lead by example.
Because and I tell people, like, you know, your job, you know, a lot of people who are passionate about their job, I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, you're just a worker to them, you know, for the most part. You know, you could work there 30 years. You can't tell them, hire my son, hire my daughter, hire whoever. They're going to go through their process. They're going to hire who they want to hire. Like, you don't control that. But when you built an empire, you built a legacy, you built something, you now give your children in the future a choice. You see what I'm saying? Where you could say to them, hey, you could carry this on, or you could go do the 9 to 5. That's on you. But somebody else is going to take over this empire. You see what I'm saying? It's going to go to somebody. You would want it to be, you know, your child.
That definitely motivates me. That's the same motivation that keeps motivating me, as well as me creating a life where I can do what I want to do. As I can go take this flight to wherever and still work from this country. If I want to go to Spain or something, or I can go, you know, live a life that I want to live. You know what I mean? And not worried about sticking to one place. And that's something that really motivates me. I look up to James Prince, and that guy, he motivates me for real, because he got out the mud. And
yeah, Jay Prince, man, he's, from a business perspective, you know, very small guy. Obviously he got some street ties and things like that. But even when you have street ties and you're able to still be probably more so known for your business, and him taking that approach of like, hey, you know, this is what I've built. And again, he has a son, and quote him, he's kind of said the same thing, like, you know, I want this to go to my son, but if he don't want it, somebody else is gonna get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm giving it to somebody else. Like, it's up to you. But it's interesting you say that, because, you know, I look at even certain people like, but I take them in doses, right? Like, Gary V.
You got to.
You know, like, you
got to. You can't just like worship somebody, you know, one person. You got to just take them in doses.
Right. So, like, even with Gary V, like, what he'll say is like, you know, at some point, why are you still listening to me? Like, go do something. Right? And so it's like, you know, I haven't watched some of his videos in a while, because, you know, so you have him, you have other influencers, Eric Thomas, and a couple other people who are well known out there, and I listen to them from time to time. Tony Robbins is another popular one. But I always kind of tell people is, you know, once you can only consume but so much, and if you're in the same spot, then you're doing something wrong, right? It's one thing to absorb that information, but if you're absorbing it and it's like you just keep doing the same thing you're doing, you're just wasting your time. You know what I mean? There's how many more ways can people tell you the same thing, right? And before you realize that, shit, you know what? It's probably true. You know what I mean? Like, I could probably do this, because I keep seeing other people with stories of saying they were homeless before. Now look where they at. People who said I was bankrupt before. Now look where they at. So you keep seeing examples of people who failed and are successful, and yet you're not even willing to try, right? Let alone fail. Like, you don't even want to try to fail.
People don't like failing.
Nah, nobody does.
They don't like rejection.
Exactly. Even Denzel I know he said something like that, like, you know, be prepared to fail. You whatever it is, no matter what you're doing, you're going to fail. It's what you do after you fail that determines if this is meant for you, if you're going to keep going or not. But if you keep trying to go through life, and people try to do that, they try to sidestep the hard times, like, oh wait, what? Maybe not. Nah, let me go. I need that for sure thing. And then what happens is, what I notice is, once they get fired for whatever reason, or let go for whatever reason, or whatever the case may be, people are usually like, they're stunned, and they go through depression and this and that. And I'm saying to myself, what made you, like, it wasn't yours to begin with. So if they take it from you, you shouldn't be like, you shouldn't complain about it. You see what I'm saying? But some people get really attached, because I feel like what they're really being removed from is their identity, because they created an identity with that job.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why you see a lot of people
super
like,
invested. Call
me doctor, whoever. Like, dude, you are who you are first. You see what I'm saying? Like,
people
your
have
profession
egos.
Is secondary. It's like you're not it's who are you as an individual first. But a lot of people associate themselves with their job and their prestige, and then once that gets taken away, they have no identity
Yeah.
whatsoever.
That's
You know,
crazy.
so-
That's crazy. That's why, and I noticed that like over the years that I've done photography, I really had to like get to know myself, like as an individual, before I can really give out what I want to, give out something that is me. You know what I mean? Because if you're just like copying other people, then your work is not creative. You're just the same other photographer that's doing the same thing. Like what makes you different? What makes you different as a business owner? So I want to bring something different to the table. And I didn't even really start exercising my creativity till recently, like till I started photography. And before then, I wasn't exercising that at all, like barely. Like I wasn't just like a creative person like that. Like I really had to seek that. And now I'm always exercising it. It's like every day, getting buff.
Like, yeah, no, everything takes practice, man.
Yeah.
So what are some of your goals that you've set for yourself? In terms of photography, like how far do you really want to take some of the things that you're doing?
It's crazy. I never really thought about photography. What's my big goal? Because at the end of the day, I think I'm gonna do photography forever. I don't know what's gonna come out of it. You know what I mean? I don't have a big goal where like I'm basically want to be the biggest photographer in the world. You know what I mean? I want to be the best what I can be, and whatever comes with that, if I'm on publishing, if I get to travel the world, like that's really what I want to do. I want to be able to travel the world with my photography. That's a goal. There you go. Mm-hmm. That's a goal that I want to really do, and just be able to just take pictures, just capture the moments. You know what I mean? And with that, with me be able to travel, I now get to do my other businesses as well. Podcasting with other people, different people in different countries, doing skits with them or doing something that's informative. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. To the people. I want to always give back to the people somehow with my stuff. Either with my images, I want them to inspire people. I want with my podcasting, I want them to motivate people. With anything that comedy skits, I want just to really take that stuff that I'm saying is serious, because this is real life out here. People don't realize like you're controlled, and I'm trying to snap you out of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm here for. This is why I do it. This is the reason why I started a podcast. Reason why I'm doing photography, because I just like making something, cool to the eye. Like wow, it looks really good. Like you want to hang that on your wall.
Yeah, no, dude, it's funny you say it, because I kind of feel the same way, right? Mm-hmm. My main thing is creating content that can be beneficial to other people, because my primary objective is to help other people, right?
Yeah, that's definitely
because that's kind of how I kind of came to my conclusion for the things that I want to do, because I've noticed throughout my life, I've always taken a great interest in helping others, sharing what it is that I know with other people, and overall just not being afraid to have other people succeed around me, right? And noticing that I have that confidence still in myself, and that people are able to have conversations with me that they don't necessarily have with other people, and I have experiences that I can share with other people. So getting on this platform with YouTube and being able to share just my experiences, it really surprised me how much people I was able to help with just things that I go through on an everyday basis. And so even with the podcast, like I feel you, where, using this platform to share information and just, entertain, but also provide really good content,
Absolutely.
Excites me as well, because there's ways to monetize that, of course. Photography, I always, I love photography for the same reasons you saying, just being able to capture the moment. I feel like, when you can live in that moment, that's really what life is about, because it goes by so fast, and a camera can actually pinpoint that, and you can actually look back and be able to say, I remember this moment. Like a good photo could really take you back in time.
And the beautiful thing is, it's from your perspective. You know what I mean? Nobody's looking at what you see.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm giving you my perspective of things, you see what I see in this world. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to me, that's beautiful. Because I'm like, what? Like, yeah, especially if you make a beautiful image and you see what I see, and it just, those live on forever.
Yeah, like, I know you for those people who aren't aware, you were on the documentary that I did recently, right?
Right.
Best Decision Ever. And you know, you were able to share your story. And I know I've had this conversation with you where I kind of told you what my motivation for that was initially, right? Where at the end of the day, I knew that this was a concept, but this is a story that we all have. Like, we all have that story of how we got to the point of veganism. And I realized that there wasn't really much out there that really talks about that in that way, right? Where you're focusing on the individual, where other people can relate to the individual, right? And so in coming up with that documentary, you were on it, a couple other people were on it. To this day, man, you know, I still get a few messages of people who've seen the documentary who really enjoyed it. And so, you know, filmmaking is something that I'm really getting into, you know, where it's like, to me, I feel like when you can create something visually, like I seen a dope video that I'll show it to you when we're done. And I didn't realize that this person did this almost 4 years ago. But when you see this video, in my opinion, I feel like that's the best video I've ever seen on YouTube. It's like 3.5 minutes. It's not long. It's called, for those of you out there, it's called Watchtower of Turkey, right?
Watchtower of Turkey.
And the same person, he ended up working and doing a commercial for Apple.
Oh, nice.
Right. And it's funny, once I saw the video that he did for Apple and knowing the video that he did on YouTube, you could see where he implemented some of that into the Apple commercial.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, damn, this Apple commercial is fire.
Yeah.
Like, how did I not even, like, I want to say the Apple commercial is like a year old. Like, it's for the iPad.
Yeah.
But like, I saw that and I was like, oh, he killed this joint. You see what I'm saying? But to see how a good video like that lasted, like, I'm saying to myself, like, this video's hot today. It's 4 years later. I feel like,
if you make a
5
classic,
years, like, I was like, yo, this video right here is like,
that's like songs too.
It's dope. You know what I mean? So, I think exactly just like music, it's like when you can create content, I think that's what every artist, that's what everyone hopes to aspire to, is to create something that can last.
Right. Well, there's two different ways. Like, you could be a content creator and just, you know, let me take a picture of Hertz and put it up. But then there's a difference between an artist as well. You know what I mean? When you really care about your craft, then like it's like a whole new level. You know what I'm saying? You're not just putting out pictures of just random pictures that you could take literally off the iPhone. You're actually really, you know, getting in a position that you want to get in, making sure that, you know, the model or the subject is looking right. And then the post production, you're just doing some crazy shit to it. You know what I mean? That's how you know that's the difference between an artist compared to like somebody just taking a picture, want to edit it real quick on their phone, putting it out. There's a difference.
You're absolutely right. And it's funny, you know, they say artists have to be a bit, I don't want to say delusional, but just like that there's a certain, in order to really be an artist, you have to really be thinking outside the box. Like, usually people who are artists are usually, their mentality is totally different from the norm.
It definitely is.
It's like you have to be, you know, in order to create something that, because if you're looking at it through everybody else's eyes, then what you produce is going to be just like everybody else.
Right.
So you almost have to be a bit out of it mentally in
order
to produce something different.
Like, every artist, you got to think about it. Like, they are, like, I've been around a lot of artists, especially musicians, and they're just not like, they're a true artist. They're not like you could tell the difference. You could feel the difference, the energy and everything, like the way they talk, everything. You could just tell, like, wow, like, that's an artist. Because you could just, they're like you just said, the mentality is so different. Like, just think about Kanye West for example. Like, he's a true artist, and you could tell. And like, look at the things that he does, the decisions that he makes. and he grabs your attention though. He knows how to do that, and he mastered that.
Yeah,
and
no,
I know he
agree.
and exactly he knows exactly what he's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, damn,
Yeah, and you know he's not, obviously he's not the most popular person amongst people, depending on who you ask.
right.
But one thing I always say is like, yo, look.
But I don't even think he's trying to be everybody's favorite. You know?
No, but it's
Right.
funny. It goes back to what I said. I don't think you can do both.
No.
You know, you can't. If you're gonna do something different, chances are you're not going to always be liked by the majority.
You're gonna have some
You see
haters.
what I'm saying? It comes with the territory, and the further you are out there, the less people gonna be around you.
Right.
You know, but at the same time, you're in your own lane. You know, and you're staying true to yourself, and that's one thing people gotta understand is that sometimes staying true to yourself means that you separate from the people around you, not necessarily by choice always, but just naturally, because
Right.
you're viewing things differently. You have a purpose, and once you start moving with a purpose, you start realizing who around you is not moving with a purpose, and then it's like, okay, if I stay around you, that's gonna keep me from the thing that I want to do the most, and so I have to separate myself in order for me to do what it is that's fulfilling, and that's a sacrifice that, let's just keep it real, most people don't want to do.
Yeah, people are like, I'm a loyal person. I'm loyal to my friends, everybody. But you know, when it comes to like chasing your dreams, you definitely got to be around good energy. Good energy and they also have goals. Those people, the same people that you need to be around, they need to also have goals. And you know, kind of like yours, almost like they're all chasing they all want to be their own bosses or whatever the case may be. But it's got to align with what you're doing. If these people are not, you know, they're not doing the same thing, they're kind of just going through the motions, you know, going through it. Like, you be there for them, be like, hey, you need to do it. You should focus on you know, always give them advice. But if they're not taking it, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't help them all the time. You got to just keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully you can lead by example and they can see what you're doing, which they will. But if they're not going to do nothing about it, I mean, you don't need to be really around them too much, because it's just going to drain you. It's just not good.
Yeah, no, the wrong energy around you is I mean, it's going to pull you down. The wrong people will pull you down. The right people will help pull you up. And I think that that's critical too. Like you said, is that if you're going on a journey, it's good that it's positive. It's great to have people around you who, you know, you can feed off of, that, but also that you can bounce ideas off of, but also give something back to as well, because, you know, the wrong people is going to make sure that, you know, those dreams never happen.
Right.
You know, because, you know, most people are, because they don't see it for themselves. And I always tell people this, like, sometimes I find myself trying to and I stopped doing that a long time ago, but like a lot of times you find where you're trying to convince other people of the things that you want to do. Right. And then at some point you got to realize that, you know what, not everybody's going to see the vision and the things that you want to do, because the vision was not given to them. You see what I'm saying? Like if I'm not supposed to be a rapper, I'm not going to be able to understand what a rapper goes through. I'm not going to be able to understand his process or what his goals are. The vision was not given to me. You see what I'm saying? The vision was given to you. Another rapper would probably understand it a lot better because they're in the same boat. But I think sometimes we find ourselves trying to convince people who, in all honesty, it's not on them to be convinced. How about you convince yourself? And as long as you convince yourself, you see what I'm saying? That's the main thing. And I think a lot of times people don't dedicate time to even convince themselves. Like, they really don't say to themselves, I'm going to do this. I can do this. Regardless, I'm going to make this happen. It's like they're looking for somebody else to tell them, oh, yeah, no, that's a great idea. You could do that. Or, you know, somebody going to tell you, nah, man, you can't do that. And it's like, shit, you're right. I can't do that, I guess. Oh, well, forget that. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful with it almost, right? Yeah,
definitely. And let me ask you this. So what if that bad energy or that negative, whatever it is, what if it's coming from your own family but you got to be around them. I mean, you don't got to, but you have to kind of spend some time with them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle that?
Well, the first thing, it's for me. I want to say, I'm always focused on what it is that I want to do, and the people close to me know that. Like they know that. So if I have to stay focused on that, I have to stay focused on that. Like I'm not going to allow anybody, and I've been in that position. You know, mom might say something, dad might say something. I let. So for me, as far as the family goes, is that it's something that I understand that if they're not with it, they're not with it. But one thing that my dad told me, and it's funny, I kind of, as I got older, I kind of used it against him, right? So it's like that kind of always negates him, because I remember when I was going to college, right? And you're going to college, you're there to be there. It's like whatever, you take whatever subject, and he kind of, I remember one day him telling me like, hey, I did everything I was supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like I've created a family. I provided, I did what I was supposed to do. Like, don't think what you're doing is for me. You see what I'm saying? Like I do what you need to do for you. You see what I'm saying? But don't think like, and I was kind of at a point where it was just like, I didn't really know, but he's just like, look, I did what I was supposed to do. So I hope you're not doing this for me, because I'm working, I'm retiring in 5 years, whatever. You the one you got 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ahead. Like you need to make sure you're doing what you want to do. You see what I'm saying? And so as I got older, I understood, and it's like, okay, so at the end of the day, you can't live for other people. Like you just can't. Well, it don't matter if it's your mother, your brother, your sister, because they did what they were supposed to do. You see what I'm saying? They, my parents came to this country at, around, at that time they were 32 years old. They came here from Haiti and created a life, ended up buying a home. They did what they were supposed to do with far less resources, I'm sure, than what I have today. They ain't trying to hear from me about what it is that I can't do. It's like, dude, if we came to this country and barely knew English and figured it out, like you got to figure it out. So there's no pity party. It's like, you got to figure it out. And so for me, once you have that mentality of like, listen, you control your destiny. Like you control it. You see what I'm saying? Like, so if you're going to make decisions every time on, well, I wonder what's going to make this person happier or that person happier. I don't want this person to be mad at me or that person's going to be. At the end of the day, you have to live with the consequences of those decisions, not the other people. And so that mentality kind of helps me in putting things in perspective and understanding where concerns come from and this and that, but also understanding that, hey, at the end of the day, I'm directing the ship. You see what I'm saying? For my life. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. When it comes to me, I'm directing it. So if I choose to direct the ship left, either, you can jump off the boat if you want, you know what I mean? But the ship is going left, you know what I mean? So
regardless. That's
the
true.
Titanic is going left, you know what I mean? It's up to you.
Yeah, you can say what you want, but that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so it's you respect the people, and that's the thing.
Absolutely.
The people around you, you respect them. You hear what they have to say.
Absolutely.
You take things into consideration. But I make it clear, like I'm gonna make the final decision, because if I just take your advice and go on it and do it, and it don't work out, and I come back and blame you got every right to tell me you the one who did it. I just gave you advice. You see what I'm saying? Like you didn't have to take it. You see what I'm saying? So
that's true.
And I never want to be in that position where I'm coming back and I'm blaming somebody. Well, you told me this. At the end of the day, you make the decision whether it works out or not. So why really put the onus on other people? You got to put the onus on yourself. And so that's why I'm able to kind of keep doing the things that I'm doing and move the way I want to move. Even in moving to Dallas, it's like people are like, why are you doing that? Stay here. You have all your friends here. You have this person here and that person here. It's like, yeah, but I got to be happy. You see what I'm saying? Like, I got to be happy. You know what I mean? I can't just be here and just not, like, it didn't fulfill me. Like, it didn't fit my personality. I like the slow down pace. I like being able to think, and because everything was always so fast. You see what I'm saying? It was like, it's always so fast. And it's like, I felt like I needed to change my environment, in order to really think about what it is I want to do. A lot of people, they don't understand that because everybody there has the same goal. It's like, oh, work the job, buy a house, get a second house, get some rental income from that, maybe buy a third house, and then, you know, maybe retire at 50 something years old, and, you know, maybe you get to go to an island and vacation. Like, what? Like, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's, what is that for me? You see what I'm saying? It's like, that's not my goal. So, you know, I've always kind of moved towards the things that I want to do. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to like, oh, well, I guess I should do what everyone else is doing because, you know, that's the standard. You know, that's being in the club.
Right.
You know, so I think one thing being an entrepreneur is understanding that you're not going to be in that club anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're part of a different club.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be in that club anymore. That club of, because it's a club to be in that 9-to-5. Most people you speak to, first question is, well, what do you do? You know, that's like the first question. Like, what do you do? And people will treat you a certain way based on your answer. Oh, I'm a doctor. Oh, okay. He's important. You know, I got to keep him around.
Right.
You know, it's like people, that's really why people ask you, because why would you,
they just want being
why don't
nosy.
you ask me like, you know, are you happy? You know what I mean? Are you excited? Are you good? Are you, you know, like,
I'm gonna start asking people that.
You know what I mean? Like,
are you happy?
Yeah, like you ask people that, you be shocked about the answer that you get. Most people probably say no. You see what I'm saying? Like, not really. But what do you do? That's going to determine how they're going to treat you. Like, oh, well, you know, I do this. Oh, okay, you're somebody important. Oh, I do something. I do this. Oh, you know, can't date my daughter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you knowing them. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
people, and it's a shame. We do it. It's a shame. You know, we base people based on that. And I just learned, like, nah. Like, again, if you're happy working at a desk, you're beating, you know, you're doing better than 80% of the people around you. You know what I mean? If you're happy being at a desk. Because most people, again, is working jobs that they really don't want to do. So, you know, I just had to make a decision. Like, yo, do I want to carry on that life? Or do I want to basically say, nah, I got to change. I have an opportunity to change, to rewrite this story. Right. That's really what it is, right? It's a story. Once it's done, it's done. Like, that's it. It's written. Once the cement dries, that's it. You know, once you no longer here, that's it. Right now, the cement is wet. You know what I mean? You can move it. It's wet. You can move it around. You could, all right, I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to plant it over here. And I don't think people just really don't realize that, you know, but as time goes past, that same wet cement starts to dry up. You see what I'm saying? It's getting harder and harder and dries up. But once it's solid, that's it.
Right.
That's all. That's it. That's game over. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm just trying to.
I mean, also, you know, it's also never too late to start a business or start what you want to do. Most
of the people have started businesses in their 40s, man.
Yeah. And
most billionaires in their 40s.
Exactly. And I even seen, like, I watched some TED Talks, and they had some 60-year-olds starting businesses. And that's, to me, that's crazy. But, you know, they're likely to be more successful than a 20-year-old being an entrepreneur because they've been through life. They know, you know, there's things that they can skip over, that they're not going to make the same mistakes that, like, somebody like my age, you know, is doing. They're going to get straight to it. But, you know, just people that are even our older audience, the older audience that's listening to this, you know, it's not too late. And I believe it's never too late. You know, never too late to really chase your dreams. You know what I mean? Maybe it was meant for you to do it at this age. You know, everything happens for a reason. You got to believe in the position you're in and why you're here. You know what I mean? But you also got to fulfill your purpose.
Yeah, I remember I got some good advice from a friend. He basically told me, no one cares how long it takes for you to get there. Just get there.
Exactly.
Because, it goes back to even like when you graduate. Like, dude, your diploma doesn't say it took you 8 years. Your degree just says that's the degree. Yeah. Right? So it could have took you, whether you did it in 2 years or whether you did it in 10 years, it's the same degree. Same. Right? So getting to where you at, if you a billionaire in 20 years, it took the other person a billionaire in 5 years, you're still a billionaire. You know what I mean? It doesn't come with a, you know, what was the date that you became a billionaire? You're still a billionaire. So
that's crazy.
It's it's that mentality and understanding, like, dude, it really doesn't matter. So the time, once you take out the time where people make it feel like, oh, I got to do it in 4 years. If I don't do it in 5, you know what I mean? Like, dude,
people want to be rich. That's all they're chasing the money. And I think, like, I have a close friend of mine. And like I had to like sit him down because he looked like he was just chasing the money. I'm like, bro, think about what you want to do. You gotta, and if you're gonna work with people, because he was working with a lot of people, I'm like, they gotta align what you're doing. They got their spirit got to be in the right place. Like, I think it's important for, you know, if you're gonna be working with somebody on like businesses or something like that, you got to make sure you know this person. You know what I mean? You got to make sure they're good people, especially if you're going to go in business with them. And that's something that I believe in, you know, and I don't just do business with everybody. You know what I mean? I'd make sure, you know, if I do business with you, we have an understanding and, you know, you align what I believe in and stuff like that. So, and I don't like to think about chasing the dollar, because that's when you start making mistakes. You know what I mean? I think about more of, is this gonna look good on my brand? Is this gonna be good for my brand? And then once I make that decision, you know, I make sure it's quality.
Yeah, and you know, another thing, you know, I don't know if you could speak to, but also if you don't have the right people around you per se, there's a lot of resources for you to out there for you to learn the things that you want to learn, right? For
Absolutely.
example, YouTube, or even read a book, right? Like they say, if you want to hide something from a person, put it in the book, because it seems like people don't want to read it. When everything,
I'm not a big reader. My bad, I didn't mean to cut you out. I'm not a big reader. You know, I'm gonna be real, but like I recently had to like discipline myself. Like I'm reading. Like, so right now, I'm about to be done with this book, and I'm starting another book right after. Like, I'm reading every day. Like, I have to read every day, because I feel good afterwards too. Like, I don't know about you, because I feel good
because you get information that you didn't have.
Exactly.
And information is key, because that's what changes a person. It's the information.
Stimulating.
You see what I'm saying? Because that's why, you know, somebody who runs a successful business, like you have to pay for their time, because what you're getting in that conversation is you're getting information that you know, you couldn't get somewhere else, or you wouldn't accept it somewhere else because you don't see it being applied. But you see it, this person is saying, this is what I do. So now that information becomes valuable, right?
Right.
And so that's why I bring up books, but even if it's not books, again, it's we're in the information age, right? Like the internet, and if people could use it correctly, right?
Yes.
There's a lot that you could learn from it, and that could also change your perspective on things. So I tell people, utilize the internet the right way. Don't just consume entertainment in everything that you do, right? It's like if you online, you watching the music video.
I have to
if you on
turn
TV,
off my phone
watching
sometimes, because
sometimes you gotta do that.
Instagram be taking over sometimes. I'm like, man, this thing can really control what half my fucking day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, and you gotta also follow good people. Like, if you're on Instagram, that content, you gotta follow certain content that's gonna be in your face all the time. Like, I like to follow like a lot of health pages, a lot of natural, holistic health pages. I like to follow, you know, vegans, raw vegans, especially because that's what I ultimately want to be, a raw vegan. I just try to put like good content, you know, make sure I follow good content. So when I am on Instagram, you know, it's not just big booties and rappers and, you know, I'm not saying rap, but like just bad content. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta make sure you're feeding yourself. You gotta feed your brain, you know, good stuff. You know,
I call it empty content. Like, you know how they say empty calories? Like, when you eat junk food, it's empty calories, because even though you're consuming a lot and you feel full, you're really, like, you're never really full, right? But if you consume good quality things, like, you get full quicker, right? And it's what your body needs. So, you know, empty content, it's like, it's available all the time, right? There's always something ratchet.
Always something.
There's always something to laugh at. There's always a meme. There's always something there for you to consume.
Right.
But at the end of the day, right, you're not better off than when you saw it, right? But when you consume something good, that information, you like, shit, man, I'm gonna go apply this right now. Like you're not sitting there,
No, real talk,
what I mean, pondering on it. You like, oh, this
seriously,
right here, this some good info. Like, what?
Seriously,
you start applying it. But when you just looking at foolery,
I start applying everything. Like anything that I'm interested in, I'm like, let's do it. You know, I'm like, especially when it comes to like health. I ain't gonna lie, I've been real focused on health lately. Like, I don't know what it is, been consuming my days.
Nah, health is wealth, man. I mean, you've heard the saying. You know, if you really, I think, and honestly, more and more people are starting to really think about health because
it's beautiful.
They're realizing that, I mean, what good is it to have these things or do these things when, you know, your health isn't there, and then, you know, people are dying all around us.
People don't question
at an early age.
It's crazy. People don't question their health sometimes. Like they don't realize. It's like ignorant. Like they might be smart people, but they're ignorant at the same time. They're ignorant to the fact what they're eating. They don't even question it. And I hated that. Like when I see little kids, because like their kids are pure. You know, they don't know better. They don't know. And when you start teaching little kids that, like this, you're just basically putting in that system, and that they're gonna grow up just to be like you. You know, if you have heart disease, they have heart disease because of you, really, because you train them to be that way, and they don't even realize it. And I just like, damn, like I sometimes like when I'm around that too much, I had to get away.
You know what it is too is like you see the connection between your health and your mental, right? Because if, you know, a good mentality can't really last in a sick body, right? In a body that's like, if you consuming a lot of alcohol, or you consuming, you know, a lot of junk food, or you consuming, like, it does mess with your mentality, and your ability to focus. Right?
Absolutely.
And so like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and we was talking about marijuana and all of that, and you know, he asked me, and I was like, you know, I told him that's not really my thing. Like I never been into. Clearly, I've been around people who smoke. Like, I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Clearly, I'm from New York, and so like clearly, but for me, it was like what I notice is that people who generally are into that, and again, you know, to each his own, do what you want to do. But I find like that priority around it, like where they feel like they have to have that first thing in the morning. They have to have that. I don't like that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't like that feeling of like I have to, you know, I'm depending on this, whatever, because it gives me a good feeling. And then after a while, I've seen the transformation between people who never did it or wasn't doing it like that. And then a year later or whatever, like they're on it all the time. And I just noticed that their mentality, like they're a bit spaced out. You see what I'm saying? Like they a little bit too chill. And to me, I feel like I can't be that chill when I'm trying to do the things that I want to do.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I can't be mellowed out when I'm trying to, you know, edit a video, or if I'm trying, like, I have to concentrate. So that lack of concentration, that's high. To me, it's like, okay, you do it here and there, whatever. You're in a social environment or whatever. But when it's the thing you gotta do in the morning, the thing you gotta do at night, the thing you know, shit, man, I'm stressed out, man. Pass the blunt. You know what I mean? Like, if that's your mentality, so
everything, everything you gotta do in moderation. You know what I mean? You can't just be smoking all the time or drinking all the time, because that's gonna consume your life. You know, I used to smoke marijuana, but I don't smoke anymore because the reason why I quit was because it messed me up from an opportunity that I wanted, a job. I was going to make me some money. You know, it was a good job at the time that would work with my school schedule, and I'd be able to, you know, financially support myself. But I didn't get the job. Like I got the job, but I didn't get the job because I failed the drug test. So that's what really stopped me. And then the weed is different these days. You know what I mean? I don't think people question that either. Since like I've been really conscious of my health and everything, I noticed that like weed is, you know, what do they put in it these days? Like, why is it so strong? Like, why am I getting high and I didn't even smoke? Why am I super high?
And then now you got the government wanting to make money on it. So now you start wondering, do the government really do their due diligence? Do they really care about me? And then it's like you got to choose between the government or the dude on the, the corner. You know what I mean? You don't know who might lace your joint or whatever, So
my boy Bob was smoking on that corn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Corn, guys, that's not the real good weed. It's not as high percentage of THC as, you would see these other California weeds or Colorado, whatever the case may be. But they were smoking homegrown, home, like grown, like it grow like a fruit, growing like a plant. You know what I mean? They weren't spraying it, doing all types of whatever they're doing these days to it. They're like, it's like scientists behind it now. So it's like, can you trust it? Like, can you like, it's too high of THC. It's not enough CBD. CBD is like the chemical that's healthy for you. So if the CBD, it used to be higher in CBD and lower in THC. Now it's switched around. So now the health benefits from it is lowered. So is it really that great for you nowadays? Just you gotta ask yourself that. Gotta question these things.
You bring up a good point, man. And I don't know how we ended up on marijuana, but because and I always try to tell my mentality again is like this. It's like I can't afford to do it. You see what I'm saying? Like I just can't afford to do it
because you gotta stay focused.
Yeah, it's like I can't. So when I see people do it, I'm like, all right, because if I see it as you got to do it because that's your way to escape from shit that's going on around you. Right. I got to deal with the things I rather deal with the things that's going on around me, and rather than space out, once a day or whatever. So for me, it's like that's never really been my thing. But as I see it becoming legal, and I tell you the thing that I don't say bothers me, but just kind of raises my antenna is like, what would this do to people of color? You know what I mean? Because I noticed, once you kind of give us the green light for things like that, as well as gambling, if you don't know how to moderate yourself, you're going to have more and more people getting into trouble. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, that's like, to me, I feel like, because you got to think, when the government decides to give the okay on something, they're not thinking about you, me or you. They're thinking about the money. So I get it from their point of view. They're like, shit, we can make extra money on this. I mean, why not? Right. I get their point of view, but it's like, okay, the flip side is like, okay, guys, what do you think is going to happen in the process of that? Making sports gambling legal, right? What do you think that's going to do to somebody who's addicted to gambling, and then all of a sudden they take out a mortgage on their home just to gamble, they lose everything. You're gonna have more and more people going into debt from gambling. You see what I'm saying? So
it's like alcohol.
Who is it really impacting, right?
Right.
Because the people who millionaires and billionaires, they ain't gambling all day. They're not gambling all day. They're investing.
I mean, they're taking risk all day.
But they're investing.
Yeah, investing.
You see what I'm saying? You starting a business, you get investing. They're not just blown. So once you say it's okay for the people on the lower end to throw, because that's who's gonna do it the most.
Right.
You're gonna have a lot of people that's out of money. You see what I'm saying? So again, I look at things differently. You know what I mean? From that point of view. So again, just these are the concerns that I see that goes on with that could happen with gambling. And once you start making things legal for people who can't really moderate that, it's just another way to kind of target. To me, I feel like because I would say, do these things benefit people who have money, right? And it's like, if they're not going to utilize it, I start thinking, well, who is the person? Who are they going to make the money off of, right? Because they're not going to make the money off of Jerry Jones. They're not going to make the money off of you see what I'm saying? Saying you making weed legal is not making the money off of them. So I'm saying, who are you making money off of? It always goes back down to the minorities, and those are going to be the ones that's more affected by these decisions. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about that.
No, that's true. That's true. Hey, man, you just got to stay woke, and you got to wake up to the things around you. You got to question some things, especially when it comes to the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I question a lot of things in life. So just because of like health started it, like me eating, like that started like how we are trained to eat meat. that made me question. Now that I see the real, now I'm starting to question a lot of other things. Like, oh, wait, this is too good to be true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When it's something too good to be true, you gotta question it. And I always tell my friends that as well, because they have opportunities that they think that sounds good. It definitely does sound good. It looks good too, but is it truly good at the end of the day? So just question it. Questions people's intentions. Question people around you. You know, but other than that, you can feel the energy.
Yeah, you gotta question everything, man. I totally agree. You know, we're gonna wrap this up, man.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
I appreciate you coming on here, man, and sharing your journey and really talking about entrepreneurship and just having this discussion with me, man. I really, really do appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, once again, where can people find you?
All right, you can follow me at Jonathan Blake Vasquez, and that's my full name, so don't try to steal it. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, you know, you like to use. Twitter is something different, though. It's JBV Photos. So if you want to go to my Twitter, follow me on there as well.
Appreciate you being on, guys. If you enjoy this podcast, please do. Remember, you can find us on iTunes, audio, Spotify, Podbean, wherever. If you enjoy it, please leave comments down below. To the viewers on YouTube, appreciate you guys.
Shout out to y'all. Y'all the real ones.
All right.
Peace.